Namaskar. Today we are going to study Paramhansa Yogananda ji's teachings, and I'm taking today's teaching from the book Man's Eternal Quest. We are going to study spiritual development must balance material advancement. Now this class that I'm putting up, it is for people who not only want to read books but also want interpretation of the teachings. The most important thing on the spiritual path is the interpretation of the teachings. I mean, there are 100,000 books, but what really matters is how is that teaching interpreted. If it is not interpreted correctly, then how we embody it, that is also affected. Everything is affected, right? Okay. Different nations have different specializations in arts and sciences. India mastered the scientific art of God realization. Wow. If you would have heard me in any of the discussions, and if you were there, then you would know that I have also said this repetitively, that America and Western countries should learn God realization and spiritual development from India, because India has mastered this. And India should learn about materialistic development, about business and riches from US and the Western countries. We should learn from each other, and there is no shame in that. We have to complete ourselves. We have to complete ourselves as human beings and achieve a balance in both spiritual and materialistic development. Before we proceed, and I'm just taking up the crux of the entire teaching in this, I'm not reading everything. So I have personally walked the spiritual path for many decades now. I'm 38 right now, and I started very early at the age of 5. And I can attest to this, that unless and until a person is developed both spiritually and materialistically, that balance in the energy, in the vibration of that person does not come. It's very important to achieve balance in both the areas of life. I know friends, I know people who are billionaires, but they don't have peace of mind because they have not realized their own soul. And unless a person realizes his own soul, his inner self, he doesn't ever feel that peace of mind. So if you have all the riches of the world, but you have not found yourself, you have not found who you are, what you're doing in this world, what is your purpose on earth, if you don't know any of that, it will somewhere keep you imbalanced, and that peace of mind won't come without you even knowing the reason. You would keep thinking, oh no, this is not the reason, this is not the reason. You would keep saying that to yourself, but you will always be searching for something. You will always be thinking that there's something missing in my life and I just don't know what that is. Similarly, if a person is developed spiritually to the highest level of consciousness, but he doesn't have food to eat, then in this age of Kali Yuga, where everything works with money, there's still going to be imbalance. It's not important that we are billionaires both spiritually and materialistically. What is important is that we have more than enough to take care of our needs and our wants both. Maybe if you want to travel the world, then we have more than enough money to travel the world. And to live peacefully, to have that peace of mind, to not think about money ever. Similarly, it is also important that a person has realized his own self within oneself. He knows who he really is. What is his purpose, his or her purpose in this human life? Because only when that part, that missing link is known to a human being, he really steps toward his or her own evolution. Please don't care about the pronouns, just get the crux of this, okay? Now moving forward, Unless a balance is created by developing spiritual realization along with advancement of physical sciences, individuals and nations will be lost in misery and destruction, which we have been witnessing for a very long time, right? We know how some nations they wage wars on other nations because of the five vices of greed, ego, attachment, and whatnot. And most of the negative things, most of the things that are not of good nature, are of evil nature, that happen in the world, they're happening because of the five vices within us: greed, attachment, lust, ego, and anger. Moving further, only spiritual consciousness, realization of God's presence in oneself and in every other living being can save the world. I see no chance for peace without it. Begin with yourself. There is no time to waste. It is your duty to do your part to bring God's kingdom on earth. Here, bringing God's kingdom on earth doesn't mean that you bring heaven to earth. What it really means is that you bring heaven into your own life. And how can we bring heaven into our own lives? We can bring heaven into our own lives by knowing ourselves, by connecting to the Supreme Source, to the Creator that created this entire existence, so that we get the answers to all the questions of life. Why we are here? Are we alone in this universe? Are there other living species as well on other planets? And as you must have heard many saints saying this, that self-realization comes before God realization. It's because once we realize ourselves, once we experience that bliss within ourselves, that we also realize the truth of our existence, of this universe, of what all is there in the universe. You must have heard Elon Musk in one of his latest interviews where he said that this world is so vast and we don't know the answers to all the questions. Pretty much close to that. We don't know answers to all the questions. And they are just probabilities, as he mentioned. So moving from that probability to knowing the truth, and that probability to knowing comes only with inner spiritual experience. Unless and until we have that direct spiritual experience within ourselves, we cannot truly understand the nature of this life. We cannot truly understand our true essence, who we really are. The more peaceful you are, the more you will be able to feel His presence. The happier you are, the greater will be your attunement with Him. Now, Paramhansa Yogananda ji may be talking in terms of God, but there are many of us who are atheists who don't even believe in God. I mean, there was a brief time in my life when I became an atheist because I just didn't believe in the existence of God. There was this brief time in my life, even if I started early, because I wasn't getting any proof of it. And for me, no proof of God meant there is no God. I had been thinking with very scientific mind. It was only when I experienced something that I moved from all the bookish information to the know-how. And only that know-how helped me expand my consciousness and helped me get answers to the questions of this life. At the end, Paramhansa Yogananda ji says, I could not preach about God in this way if I did not know Him. In the same way, you cannot know Him. That is why I stress self-realization, which means you can know within your own consciousness that what I'm saying is true. You don't have to believe, you can know. That is exactly what we discussed right now. If I had 1,000 mouths, I would speak through them all to convince you. The truth is that no matter how much a person tries to convince us or convert us, we cannot truly change into someone who just believes that there is God, if we have not seen God because their friends have said so, because their teachers have taught so, or they've heard their parents say about God. But here, Paramhansa Yogananda ji says that you can know within your own consciousness that what I'm saying is true. And this is what I'm talking about. To know things within your own consciousness by experiencing the Lord within ourselves.